Morning following the deadly Thanksgiving Eve shooting of two West Virginia National Guard members patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. 20-year-old U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom has died of her wounds, while 24-year-old U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf remains in critical condition. The pair were allegedly ambushed by a 29-year-old Afghan refugee who entered the U.S. a month after former President Biden's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan in August of 2021 that also killed 13 U.S. service members. Ramanullah Lakhanwal came here under the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome program after serving in an elite CIA counterterrorism group in Afghanistan. Now, President Trump has ordered a full review of green card holders from 19 countries of concern and is permanently pausing immigration from what he calls third world countries.
This heinous atrocity reminds us that we have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them. They come in illegally, have a lot of problems. Their countries force them in because their countries are smart. They don't want them. Let's give them to the Americans to take care of. They come out of jails in many cases, mental institutions, they're gang members, they're drug dealers.
Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is White House border czar Tom Homan. Tom, thank you so much for being here. We are a nation that is grieving right now after the Thanksgiving holiday for Sarah Beckstrom and waiting to hear as Andrew Wolf clings to life. Your message right now to the service men and women of this country, the law enforcement officers that you work with as well, and their families as they continue to try to do their jobs to keep the country safe, but at such a great risk.
Well, first of all, prayers to the guardsmen, the one fallen, the one fighting for his life every day. And the nation needs to wrap their arms around these men and women who chose, who volunteered to put themselves in harm's way to make this country safe again. Every ICE agent, Border Patrol agent, guardsmen, they weren't drafted. They agreed. They stepped up to make this country safe again and put a gun on their hip and wear a Kevlar vest every day to make this country safe again under the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. So hats off to them. I don't care what political party you're from, left, right, middle, independent, doesn't matter. Every one of these people are American patriots by the fact they put themselves in harm's way to protect people they'll never meet and protecting people they don't know. They're doing God's work out there every day.
And I want to read some words from Sarah's father, Gary Beckstrom. He posted this to Facebook on Thursday. My baby girl has passed to glory. If I don't talk to you, don't be offended. This has been a horrible tragedy, and there are no words to describe what has happened. You've been fighting the fight of an open border. You have shut that border down. There's also this aspect of botched foreign policy from the Biden administration. How do we move forward as a nation to make sure we can keep our country safe?
Well, first of all, I want people to know that throughout my career, I buried Border Patrol agents, I buried ICE agents, the worst job in the world, to hand that folded flag to a surviving family member, and we've done it too many times. President Trump has saved America. Let's be clear. When he came in office, he gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation. Never been more secure. So now we know who's coming. Now we clear who's coming. We don't have 10,000 up to 12,000 people a day enter this country illegally. We had 10.5 million illegal aliens come to the border under Joe Biden. And that's not counting the hundreds of thousands that came through the CHMV program, the CBP-1 app. And it's not counting the over 2 million known gotaways. Now, at least these Afghanistans, the other people came in through a PRO program, at least we have a photograph, we have some fingerprints. We'll never get the records to actually know who they are because many of these countries like Afghanistan don't have databases like we have. So it's hard to vet anybody. But the 2 million known gotaways, we don't even know who the hell they are, where they came from, why they're here. Biggest national security failure in the history of this nation under Joe Biden. And thank God President Trump's in the Oval Office because he's cleaning it up. Most secure border in the nation's history. He kept that promise to American people. We have a historic deportation operation going on. He saved America there, and he's going to continue to save America. We're just getting started with that. And look what he's done for the military. As far as the narcotics who killed over 2.5 million people over the last few decades, President Trump has now taken the war against drugs to the away game. He's taken them at their home game, taking them back to the waters, because we knew once we secured the border, less drugs come across to kill Americans. We knew they'd take the maritime. And what's President Trump doing? He's wiping them out in maritime, saving thousands of lives every month by doing so.
Tom, we all remember those chaotic pictures of Afghans clinging to planes as President Biden conducted his withdrawal operation. Many of these folks, anywhere from 80 to 100,000, came to this country under this program, Operation Allies Welcome. The problem, however, it was done so chaotically, so quickly. The vetting process was riddled with inaccuracy. They were, failed to monitor the refugees that came into the country and where they went after what they did. Data inaccuracies, glitches that made it difficult for immigration to do its job. I want to talk a little bit about the consequences of that as we're seeing them play out in real time. And, we lost 13 service members as well in that operation.
People need to understand, during the 4 years to Biden, I was on Fox News every day saying it's the biggest national security failure in the history of the nation, and we're going to pay the price. Because even though Secretary Mayorkas says everybody's property vetted, they weren't. Even his own DHS Inspector General came out with a report and said there's multiple failures in the vetting process. And here's what people need to understand. In these third world nations, they don't have systems like we do. So a lot of these Afghanistans, when they did get here and get vetted, they had no identification at all. Not a single travel document, not one piece of identification. And we're going to count on the people that run Afghanistan, the Taliban, to provide us any information who the bad guys were or who the good guys are? Certainly not. And many people need to understand that most terrorists in this world, most of them, aren't in any database. Because unless they were found on a battlefield by DOD and did a retina scan and did biometrics there, unless you're part of a T3 undercover investigation, we don't know who they are. So, and the same thing with illegal aliens, that over 10 million that came across the border in Joe Biden. There's no way to vet these people. You think El Salvador or Turkey or Sudan or any of these countries have the databases or system checks that we have? Do you think the government of China, Russia, Turkey, you think they're going to share that data with us even if they did have it? There's no way to clearly vet these people, 100% that they're safe to come to this country from these third world nations. President Trump's doing the right thing, reviewing every one of these people that came under the Biden administration and drilling down on them. I really, truly think that most of them are going to end up being deported because we're not going to be able to properly vet them.